Welcome to part 30 of my series of videos showing my romance novel collection. And I'm going to do something a little different this time because usually what I would do is start with the older books in these stacks of books that I run through. And so I'd start with the older books because they seem a little cooler, a little more rare and so forth. And then I would gradually go to the newer books. Well, lately it seems like whenever I do these videos, I run out of time. By the time I start getting to the newer books, I run out of time because these videos, my cell phone only holds around 21 minutes of video. So to do it differently this time, I'm actually going to start with some of the more recent books and go backwards. But these are actually uh, a lot of these are books that I didn't get a chance to show before because I ran out of time simply. Um, so these are all going to be 21st century books, with the exception of I have two 1990s books. So I have a book from 1995, the Linda Lil Miller book there, and Erica James from 1999. Then all the rest of them are 21st century, including some from 2021. So let's take a look at them. Now, this one is, let's see what year it is, 2021. So it's right there, it's a Harlequin Special Edition, March 2021, book 2825, She Dreamed of a Cowboy by Joanna Sims. Now, I read this book and really liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. And I bought it because, for one thing, I liked the heroine's hairdo there. She's actually, in the book, she's a cancer survivor who is growing back her hair, who goes to, I believe it's Montana, to a ranch as part of she sets up I guess a GoFundMe thing to, after her cancer treatment, to go, she's always wanted to go to a ranch, Skylar is her name, from where she lives in New York, where she meets a cowboy who was as a teenager, he was on a reality show called Cowboy Up, and she had posters of him on his wall and so forth. Well, anyways, it turns out that he runs this ranch that she's staying at. And one of the things I liked about it when I was looking at it in the store was that it references the pandemic, our recent COVID pandemic. So I can't really find it here at the moment, but there's things in here where it mentions here. Hunter hung up the phone, slipped it into his back pocket, and then pulled the black bandana he had tied around his neck up over his nose and mouth. And it goes on. I think COVID itself is only actually, the word is only used once in here, but there's several references to the pandemic. But anyways, I really enjoyed the novel, and I actually have another book by the same author that I hope to get to at some point. But I guess these are considered sort of like ranch romances, which used to be the name of a long-running pulp magazine. And so now they've kind of become more popular again. You'll see a lot of books that have, are ranch romances. Diana Palmer has been doing a lot of them and so forth. Now here's another Harlequin Special Edition that came out recently, March 2021, book 2823. So it's like 2 books ahead, and by Stella Bagwell. And I think, again, I have another one of hers. This one I've not read, though, and I bought it. I bought it at the same time I bought the other book, and I look forward to reading it. I can't remember now what it was about. An animal clinic's receptionist is the heroine, and he's the veterinary assistant. Anyways, it just looked like a fun book. Also recently, I bought these all together at the store. And this is April 2021, 2797 is Harlequin Desire, the latest Brenda Jackson Westmoreland legacy novel, which in a couple previous videos, I think I've talked about Brenda Jackson's Westmorelands. And this particular newer series covers the outlaw branch of the family, which was, that's their last name, the Outlaws. And Garth Outlaw was the subject of the previous book, And this is book number 2 in this new series, who is Cash Outlaw, businessman Cash Outlaw. So basically it's like having, she did almost like 30 books of the Westmoreland family. So now it's sort of a reboot in a way. It's like, okay, now here's their relations, and they have a whole bunch of brothers and stuff. So it's a way of continuing the saga. And so I haven't read this one yet, but I have read three of her other books, I believe. Now here's 2 older Harlequin Presents books that I happened to pick up at the library used book sale. And these are from, this one is May 2008. 2727 is the book number. Harlequin Presents started in 1973. And so these 2784 is the number on that one. Sarah Craven. And, they have the cameo cover format. And although this sort of cleverly has like a ring, around it for I guess a particular series. Here's the back covers. Now here's a more recent Harlequin Presents. They've changed up the cover format, so now instead of it just being a circle, it's sort of a half circle there. They started that last year, and then March 2021, 3895. This one's by Kate Hewitt. And it's based on Pride and the Italian's Proposal. It's based on Jane Austen's, inspired by Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, evidently. And I've not read this yet, but I had read a previous Harlequin Presents that Kate Hewitt had written, which I believe I talked about in a previous video that I had liked. This is Harlequin Romance, July 2010. Looks like 4177. This is actually 2 stories, 2 short stories, Margaret Way and Melissa James. Margaret Way being a long-time Harlequin writer, a British writer, and so it was originally 2008. But, anyways, so this is another Harlequin Romantic Suspense, December 2012 it looks like. And this also has 2 stories. From 2012. Alright, and now we get to a bunch of love-inspired. This is Christian inspirational romance. I've started reading this one. These all came out in 2020. They don't have the numbers on them these days. But I started reading this one, and I'm about halfway through it, and really enjoy it. It's about a single mother raising a bunch of kids. She has like 2 twins that are like 3 years old, and then 3 boys that she's adopted. And there's some Amish romances here. The rest of these I have a whole stack of these Amish romances that I bought at a thrift store this week for like 20 cents each, and they were all like recent books. This one I'm going to talk about. I haven't read it yet, but I started reading it, and I'm going to talk about it in a future video. I'm going to read some excerpts of the intro of it, because it reminded me of a theme sort of through the history of romance about the suffering heroine. So we'll get to that later in a future video. Here's another love-inspired Amish romance. Now some people sort of mock the Amish romance as being sort of weird or creepy or something like that. They sort of, but it's an interesting spin on sort of a contemporary historical, in a way. It's a contemporary, but some of the issues that are raised are sort of old-fashioned, so it's a way of having a historical that's also modern. And for fact, let's see here, there's an example here, Amish Anguish, and these are you'll see a bunch of these Harlequin books that look like this. These are actually reissues of older books. So this one says first published in 2015, this edition published 2021, and it's a similar story with these ones as well. But prologue. You want me to get married to a man I don't even know? Emma Byler asked with not a minimal level of shock as she met her mother's firm gaze. Of course you know him. You've seen them at church. Blah, blah, blah. So it's sort of a similar type thing where you would see something like that in a historical. This is another Amish book. Every publisher seems to have a sort of line of Amish novels. This one's from actually pocketbooks, and I'd gotten a whole bunch of them. I'm not keeping all of them, but this one looked interesting. I thought I wanted to read it. Just the way it was written. And here are a whole bunch of zebra romances for 2021. These are all brand new books that I got at a thrift store. Again, like I said, for like 20 cents each. And they're in that new Mass Max format that I've talked about before that I really like. It's sort of larger than a typical hardcover. You can see there's the, oh, it's hard to show there, but it's a little bit larger and wider than the a standard paperback, mass market paperback novel. So those, they look interesting, so I decided I would keep them. Now, I have a whole bunch of historicals that I bought recently. These are two Harlequin historical lines from 2010 and 2015. A Tessa Dare novel that I bought recently. This is an older one, Three Nights with a Scoundrel, from I think 2010. Let's see, yeah, 2010. The funny thing is that, you know, on Twitter, Jen Reads Romance had a thing recently where she was saying, you know, when a book says a novel, what does it mean to you? And the first thing I thought of was Danielle Steele, which is not technically romance. A lot of her books will say, you know, below the title will say a novel. I thought this was funny, an actual romance novel that is clearly a romance novel. Three Nights with a Scoundrel, a novel, you know, which is like, well, what else is going to be? But here's some Ella Quinn historical novels, like Regency era ones. This is a Zebra Shout Fresh New Romance. I think this is like 2013. Let's see. It's for 2017. I must be mixing it up with this one. I think this one is a reissue of an older one. Nope, this one's 2019. So one of these Ella Quinn ones that I have two more here. So one of these I think was a reissue. Yeah, this was 2013. And so it says First Kensington Books ebook edition 2013, but the first mass market printing is 2019. So it makes me wonder, did this come out first as an ebook and not in print, and then they finally decided in 2019 to put it in print? I don't know. I haven't looked into it. And here's another recent book. I have two books by Kathy Maxwell. It was a long time, since the mid-90s or so. I guess around 93 is when her first book came out. And these are more recent ones. There's the Step Back from Avon Books. This one is from 2017. And this is a little more recent. In 2020, March 2020, it came out. And here's some Grace Burrows. And these ones are a little thick. And they come with, like it says, includes a bonus story by Elizabeth Hoyt. So the bonus story is actually a reprint of an older story, but I guess just to give you more value for your money. This book is 2018. And the Elizabeth Hoyt one is 2017, it looks like. And this one's 2019. And this one has a bonus story as well. It's from 2019 as well. Very prolific writer. I have two books by Lindsay Sands here. One is a Paranormal. That's actually two stories. Here's the Step Back from Avon Books. So The Gift is written by Lindsay Sands, and then Janine Frost wrote Home for the Holidays. Sort of a Christmas, hybrid Christmas paranormal romance. And this is looks like just a historical romance by Lindsay Sands. Let's see when this one is from. 2002, so this is a really old one. This might be one of her first ones, I don't know. But this Oh, it says it was originally published as The Reluctant Reformer in 2002 by Dorchester, which would be like Leisure Books. And then this is the 2019 Avon version. And here's a collection of short stories, The Lost, J.D. Robb, who is Nora Roberts, and Ruth Ryan Langan is a longtime friend of hers. And this has four all new stories of paranormal desire and suspense. I'll just crack it open real quick here. And it's looks like 2009. There are the stories. D. Davis, Dangerous Desires. This is romantic suspense from Grand Central. I don't know anything about this one, but it looked interesting to me, from 2010. And she's in prison, it starts out. I guess she's stranded in the mercenaries hot on this guy's trail. And then he kidnaps this woman, evidently. Well, we'll see. Here's a Cheryl Woods Harlequin romance, Sea Glass Island, 2013. Now, this book is published by Tor Books, which normally publishes science fiction. This sure don't look like science fiction, though. It's Blame It on Paris. I guess I'm not sure if this is just considered general fiction, or if this actually is a romance novel. It's from 2006. But it looked well written and interesting just from when I checked the first page here. Here's a Harper Teen. So it's like a teen romance book, evidently. Snowed In is the name of it. Here's the inside. From 2008. It looks like it's written in first person. And here are two books. This is from Berkeley Sensation, and this is from Grand Central. Fast and Loose, and How to Score a Novel. Just in case you weren't sure if this was a novel or not, or a self-help guide. It's a novel. Let's see what year. This is 2009. And Elizabeth Beverly, Fast and Loose. There's a sort of a step back. And that one is from 2008. Danielle Steele, a novel, Spy. This is one of her recent ones. And published by Dell, first time in paperback. Dell having since been purchased by, Random House, Penguin Random House, or whatever. It's like I wrote a blog post about how they're all being purchased by each other. So this Dell Mass Market edition was published in 2020, although the book came out a year before. She always has books coming out like every few months. Finally, the two 90s books that I mentioned. Erica James, I have another book of her. She's a UK writer. And this is actually, I think, a UK edition, Orion Books, from 1999. There's the info about her. I have another of her books. She seems more of like a literary type writer. Perhaps would be considered women's fiction. But, being a British writer, sometimes you figure they seem a little more like literary in a way. Anyways, I have another book of hers, which I hadn't read, but I had started reading, and it looked interesting. Finally, we have a hardcover book, so it's going to be hard to get into all in the photo here. Linda L. Miller's Pirates. And there's a picture of Linda L. Miller there. This book was, I think I got it published by Pocket Books. So Pocket Books actually had not just paperbacks, but hardcovers as well. Published in 1995. And it's about, I'll show you on the back here, it's a time travel romance. Whoa. So, Phoebe Tyler decides to answer a tacky advertising circular. Blah, blah, blah. And then Duncan Rourke is known to historians as the pirate patriot, marauder of the Caribbean, who turns against his Tory family to embrace the cause of the American Revolution. He has been dead for 2 centuries, or at least he's supposed to be. And so she ends up going to his world. Uh, time travel romances became really popular in the 90s. The early 90s with Outlander, the novel Outlander. And then Joanna Lindsay wrote a time travel romance. There was like a love spell line from Dorchester Leisure Books that was about time travel romance and so forth. So, anyways, I like Linda L. Miller's writing. I read one of her books and really enjoyed it. So, we'll see. Anyways, so I finally made it through all these books. Thanks for watching.